Hello, welcome to Random Movie Time. Today we'll be talking about the 2021 film Swan Song, directed by Benjamin Cleary and also written by Benjamin Cleary. This is Benjamin Cleary's first feature film. It stars Mahershala Ali, who you might recognize from The Green Book, Naomie Harris, who is known for playing Moneypenny in the more recent James Bond films, Awkwafina, Glenn Close, and representing Winnipeg, our dear Adam Beach. This movie follows a dying man who decides to duplicate himself so his family will not realize he's gone when he passes away. Tommy, what did you think of this film?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised. I was sort of thinking this is going to be another one of those semi-dystopian, sterile sci-fi movies about the dangers of technology, We've had a few lately. Ex Machina comes to mind. I think the first movie that sort of started off this style was maybe Gattaca. But yeah, it also reminds you a lot of those TV shows like Black Mirror and Love Plus Sex Plus Robots. But the movie did end up winning me over. By the end of the movie, I thought, hey, maybe this technology isn't a bad idea. I don't think it would really catch on in real life, but, the movie made it work, and great performances. I thought the acting was really top-notch. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. The acting performances were fantastic. And when we first started watching it, I was dreading that it'll be another Ex Machina because it was filmed very much like that. But in the end, it turned out to be something quite different. It did take place in the near future, but it didn't feel like a sci-fi movie. It felt more like a drama, and this man's struggles. There are a lot of ethical questions in this film. It was very subtle, which I really liked. Glenn Close plays the scientist who helps him with this process, with the duplication process. It's a relatively new thing, apparently. He's only the third person to do this. And it's really subtle, but she is kind of pressuring him to make the sale a little bit. Yeah. So that's another ethical thing. It's very understated. There is one point where his duplicate and himself get into a big fight, which made me think that maybe it was sort of representing an inner struggle he was dealing with. In the end, I mean, it was very well crafted. It's a bit boring sometimes from my taste. Like, it's a very, very slow pace. But overall, it's quite a good film.
Yeah, I thought the only negatives was, like, there were a couple of cliches, like he was in this self-driving car in the future, which looked exactly like the cars from Westworld. Like, I was even thinking, did they actually use the same car from Westworld, because it's just like the same design and everything. There was one plot point which they just sort of left hanging, I thought, unless it was resolved later and I didn't catch it. But when the duplicate first arrives home, he does fool everybody. He fools his child and he fools his wife, which I guess was the biggest job that it had to do. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't fool his dog at first. His dog is barking at him. And as near as I can remember, they just sort of let that plot point hang there, and I guess eventually the dog does come around and start accepting him as his real master, but they never really explained that, and I thought that was weird because Glenn Close kept making a point that this person is exactly like you down to the last molecule, thinks exactly like you, has been uploaded with all of your memories. So why, if that's the case, then why would the dog not accept him as his master, But obviously there must have been something different about him, but then they never really go back to that. I was surprised by Awkwafina. I was always sort of ready to dismiss her because I was like, why would you name yourself after the most boring, ubiquitous bottled water? Like, even Pepsi that makes it just admits that it's just filtered tap water. It doesn't even spring water. Like, why would that be a good thing to call yourself Awkwafina? But anyway, she was actually really good in this movie, and I saw her in something else that she was good in too. I think Jumanji 2. She was pretty good in that. So yeah, I can't say anything bad about Awkwafina. She's a pretty good actress. Everybody was in this movie, so I'd have to recommend it. It's good.
Yes, one thing that I forgot to mention that bothered me about this movie was that it is in that kind of now ubiquitous near futuristic style, which I think is, in my opinion, has had its day. It's a bit tired.
Yeah.
When it first came out in the early 2000s, yeah, I mean, it was really nice for a while. It was a really nice, fresh take on futuristic sci-fi kind of thing. But I think now it's time to put it to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, it's a beautiful story. It made me tear up at the end. I won't tell you why, but it's quite a beautiful story.
And it takes surprising turns. Like, you wouldn't think that the story would take some of the turns that it does, considering the subject matter and the kind of movie that it is. But, in the end, it's an interesting take on the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's more positive. I mean, it's really sad, but it's a nice positive way of looking at it. I was like you. I was afraid that it was going to be this stereotypical dystopian kind of thing and something awful was going to happen, but no, it was just a beautiful little kind of love story that touches on, ethics and inner struggles, and it was a really nice drama. And I have to say, anyone who is turned off by the sci-fi label, you can ignore that, because it's not really, first and foremost, it's a drama and a love story. And secondly, there are some sci-fi elements to it. Sci-fi is kind of a backdrop in this movie.
Yeah. It's mainly realistic. It mainly feels contemporary, just with like a sort of science fiction gloss on it.
Yeah, exactly. It was seamlessly integrated into the world. It wasn't in your face at all.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Anyway, so how many bottles of Awkwafina do you give this movie, Tommy?
I'll give it 3.5 bottles of Awkwafina out of 5. Pretty good movie. It takes a while for it to start up to get to a place where I was really enjoying it, but not bad at all. Surprisingly good.
All right. Well,
what about you?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I would give it 3 bottles of Awkwafina, slightly lower than 3.5, just because there were parts to me that dragged, but overall a beautiful movie. And yeah, I would recommend it. I'm not one for sappy stuff, but if you are, then you would love this movie.
All right, Swan Song. Hopefully it won't be Director Cleary's Swan Song, and he'll make some other great stuff in the future. But until next time, we'll see you on Random Movie Time.